Hello and welcome to For You. I'm Reese.
I'm Nikki.
And we're here today to talk to you about America's toughest prison.
Ooh.
A very scary topic, but don't worry, this prison has been out of use for a very long time.
Oh, Reese, have you ever been to a prison before?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I killed like 50 guys and then I got sent to prison. I'm joking. No, I've never been to prison, but I have visited a prison.
Oh.
And Nikki, I've actually visited this prison.
This one?
Yeah.
Whoa. And how was it?
It was cool. It was kind of like a ghost house. Because they don't use it anymore, so you can kind of just walk around and see where the prisoners lived.
So you went there when there was no other people?
Well, we went with like a tour group.
Oh.
So there were many tourists there. But the island's pretty big. Maybe you guys don't know the prison we're talking about. We're talking about Alcatraz prison.
In the U.S.
It's in the U.S. It's a small island in the San Francisco Bay. And you can see it from the city, but the water around there is quite dangerous, as we'll learn later. Have you been to prison, Nikki?
No, I went to the one in Green Island.
Oh, yes, I've been to that one too.
Yeah, but I didn't really see the prison, but they told me that there was a prison there.
Yeah, I went inside that one as well. It's pretty interesting. It's a very interesting historical kind of monument. Well, let's get into the article and learn all about this notorious prison.
Reading.
How 3 men escaped from America's toughest prison. Once, I was a guard at the notorious Alcatraz prison in the U.S. Alcatraz is a tiny island in the San Francisco Bay. It was the toughest prison to escape from in the U.S. To escape, prisoners had to go for a very long, hard, cold swim. That's why no one ever got out. That was until 3 especially desperate men attempted to break out. On June 11, 1962, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin tried to make their escape. The next morning, my colleague discovered that the men were not in their beds. Instead, he found fake heads that were made of paper and real human hair in their place. These tricked the night guards. We all wondered how no one had noticed. We weren't sure if the men had managed to leave the island, so we quickly began searching. We also asked the police and FBI to help. They immediately started looking for the men and any evidence.
So today's article begins by saying, Once I was a guard at the notorious Alcatraz prison in the U.S. Okay, so as we hinted at earlier, we're learning about Alcatraz prison, and we've got some vocabulary words to talk about straight off the bat. The first word is guard. It's spelled G-U-A-R-D, and it's a noun, and a guard is a person whose job is to protect things. They guard them, which is the verb. They keep them safe. A prison guard is a guard who works in a prison to make sure the criminals don't escape. They're keeping society safe from dangerous people. Here's an example sentence. The guard at my school always waves to me when I arrive for class.
课文一开始有一个人说他是一个监狱的 guard。guard 在这边是当名词，指的就是守卫或者是警卫。Here the guard we see is a prison guard, 是一个狱警。The most common guards we see in daily lives are probably security guards, 也就是保全。那 guard 不只可以当名词使用，也可以当动词，指的就是保护或是保卫。For example, we often see soldiers guard the gates. 那接着我们看到 notorious, 它是一个形容词，指的就是恶名昭彰的。So if we see someone is notorious for something, that means this guy is famous for something bad. We can also use the word infamous to mean the same thing.
Infamous.
Infamous,
yeah. Infamous and notorious are kind of the same thing. So they're adjectives that describe people that are famous for bad reasons. So an example of a notorious or infamous person in history would be Hitler, right? He did many terrible things and killed many people.
Yeah, so and everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, he's infamous and he's notorious. We don't want to end our lives being notorious. Okay, back to the article. Alcatraz is a tiny island in the San Francisco Bay. It was the toughest prison to escape from in the US. To escape, prisoners had to go for a very long, hard, cold swim. That's why no one ever got out. Yeah, this is what Alcatraz is famous for. You know, most prisons are on the land. This one is its own entire island.
Do you think they did it on purpose?
You mean put the prison on an island?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that way you don't need dogs and guards so much. You can just rely on Mother Nature to stop the people from escaping.
Yeah.
And it worked, mostly.
再来，课文就开始说明这个监狱的地理位置，并告诉我们它是一个很难逃出来的地方。因为要逃出来的话，这些犯人要游泳，冷到不行，而且还很远。因此呢，这就是为什么没有人能够逃出来。That's why no one ever got out. 那这里我们可以看到疑问词 why 引导了一个名词子句。
Okay, back to the article. That was until 3 especially desperate men attempted to break out.We also have our second vocabulary word. It's especially. And especially is an adverb. We use especially to highlight something as being more than the other things around it. We use this word to single out one thing or some things from a much larger group. So in the article, the word is used slightly differently. It's used to mean very much or to a great extent.By saying that these men were especially desperate, the article is saying that they are very desperate, more desperate than normal. We'll talk about desperate in a moment. An example sentence with especially could be, The pain in my leg is especially strong today.
Especially 是副词，在这边课文的意思是说格外地或者是特别地，意思就是说原本这个监狱都没有人逃出去，直到有3个特别绝望的犯人试着逃狱。那要特别注意一下，就是 especially 放的位置，一定会是在主词的后面，不能放在句子的最前面。For example, you say, I especially like horror movies, instead of saying, especially I like horror movies.
Yeah.
那例句说，我脚痛今天特别严重。
I like horror movies too. Especially ghost stories. My favorite.So the article said that these men were especially desperate to break out. Let's talk about desperate and break out. Desperate is an adjective, and if you are described as desperate, it means you're feeling or showing a hopeless sense that a situation is so bad that it's impossible to deal with it. Or it could mean having a great need or desire for something.So here the men really want to escape. They are desperate to get out. We also had the phrase break out. Break out is a verb phrase that means to escape from a prison or to get out of a place that you're stuck inside. So if you're at the zoo and the lion breaks out of its cage, you better be scared.Desperate
是形容词，指的就是超级想要某个东西或是某件事情，因为很绝望，所以不顾一切，不管怎样都好的感觉。所以课文呢，他就说到这些犯人一定就是超级绝望，超级想要逃出来，才会想要游泳横跨一个岛。So if you're desperate, you're eager for something. You would do anything for the thing you want. 那它的名词呢，就会是 desperation。指的就是 the state of being desperate. For example, he doesn't have a good relationship with his family. He asks for their help out of desperation. 那我们这边还看到 break out 在这边指的是越狱，但是它还有另外一个意思呢，会是爆发或者是突然的发生。For example, a fire can break out 就是一个火灾会突然发生。
Teenagers might be familiar with breakout as well, because if you have bad acne on your face, we say break out, right? My face broke out with acne.
Is that what you're experiencing now?
Yeah, wearing the masks so much, it covers my face. There is not good airflow, so my skin can get kind of bad and I break out. Yeah, but safety first. Okay, back to the article, and we're going to learn about the people that tried to escape.And were they successful? So on June 11th, 1962, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin tried to make their escape.
所以说呢，就是有3个犯人试图要逃脱。Escape 一般来说是可以当动词 to get free from something， 那在这边是名词，意思是说 to get out of a place or a bad situation。那 make one's escape 就是逃脱、逃离的意思。
I think prison escape stories are very interesting. I mean, they're kind of scary, but it's also very interesting. And today we're going to learn how they escaped. So the article returns with, the next morning, my colleague discovered that the men were not in their beds. Okay, so we're hearing from a prison guard here, and he's telling us his experience of the event. And he talks about his colleague.Colleague is a noun, and a colleague is a co-worker, a person that you work with. We could also use this word to talk generally about people who are on the same professional or social level as us. So, Nikki, you're my colleague and my friend.
Yes, Reese and I are colleagues because we work together. We all teach English. 那 colleague 是名词，指的就是同事，或者是和你一起工作上班的人。同样的呢，我们也可以用 co-workers 来表示同事。那在刚刚句子我们看到 someone discovered that 什么什么东西，这边的 that 是一个从属连接词，后面加的句子就会是一个完整的子句。
Okay, so the guard's colleague found that the men were not in their beds, but there was something in the bed. Instead, he found fake heads that were made of paper and real human hair.In their place.
Real human hair.
Oh, that's kind of gross, right? Where did they get the hair from?
Yeah.
Well, fake heads in the bed. Let's talk about fake. Fake is an adjective, and fake means not real. If something is fake, it has been made to look real, but it's not. So, common things that could be faked are fake money, fake hair, or a fake story. If a person is fake,That means we think they're dishonest or not showing their true selves. So an example sentence with fake could be, the man tried to use fake money to pay for his food, but the cashier could see that it wasn't real.
Fake 是形容词，意思就是假的或者是伪造的。The opposite of fake would be real or original. During the pandemic, we often see a lot of fake news, the news that are not true.Fake 也可以当动词，指的就是伪造。For example, people would fake signatures, 伪造签名或者是伪造文书。We can also use the word forge to mean the same thing. It means to make an illegal copy or something.
Yeah, don't use fake money, don't make fake things, and don't be a fake person. Be honest with your friends.
Hashtag stay real.
Yeah, I like that hashtag. All right, back to the article. These tricked the night guards.The word these is talking about the fake heads. We all wondered how no one had noticed. So let's talk about this vocabulary word, wonder. It's a verb and it means to think about something or to be curious about something, to have a want to know something. So, for example, I'm currently at the studio recording. I wonder what my cat is doing right now.Probably sleeping or cleaning herself. We wonder about things that we don't know about, and those things we wonder about often aren't too important. That's why we have the word wonder. Here's an example sentence. I wonder what Mum will cook us for dinner tonight. I hope it's pasta.Wonder
是动词，指的就是想知道或者是对某件事情感到好奇。就像有时候你会跟自己讲话，自己在脑袋里面想事情，就会想说，是不是这样啊？那这样的动作呢，就可以说是 wonder. For example, when you see someone you have a crush on, just like your post on Instagram, you will probably wonder if he also likes you back. 例句说，我好想知道今天晚餐我妈会煮什么给我吃哦，希望是意大利面。那这边再补充一点 We all wonder how no one had noticed. 这边疑问詞 how 就是引導名詞子句的用法。
Right, so if we're trying to solve like a math problem at school, we wouldn't use the word wonder for that. You know, we'd use maybe solve or think about. Wonder is usually for something that we don't know about, and it's maybe more abstract, and it's like, something that we're just curious about.
It's okay if you don't know.
Yeah, so not super serious. Okay, back to the article. We weren't sure if the men had managed to leave the island, so we quickly began searching. Okay, so let's look at the word searching here. It's a verb, and to search means to look for something. If you are searching for something, that thing has not yet been found, but you want to find it. We can search for things physically. Like, if you lose your keys, you should probably search for them. But we can also search for things mentally. You can search for the answer to a question, or you can even search for the meaning of life. Here's an example sentence. We spent hours searching for Sarah's dog, only to find that he had been hiding in her bedroom all along.
Search 是动词，在这边指的是搜寻，也就是说这些狱警开始去寻找这些逃跑的犯人。Search 可以是一个真的去找一个东西，就像他们在找犯人这样，也可以是一个比较抽象的意思，就是说去思索或者是寻找答案。Like Ruth just said, to search for the meaning of life.We also use this verb to mean look for information on the internet, 就是上网搜寻的意思。那前面我们看到 we weren't sure if the man had managed to leave the island. 那这边 if 引导名词子句的用法有不管是否的意思。那再来看到 manage to 指的就是有一件很困难的事情，但是你成功做到了。所以在这篇课文呢，一开始有说到要逃狱其实不是一件容易的事，但是他们却逃出去了。They managed to make their escape.
Have you ever heard of the phrase search party?
No.
Search party. It sounds like something fun, but it's actually something quite serious. So if somebody goes missing...
Oh, it's like people who search for people who are in danger?
Yeah, so if someone goes missing, usually a lot of people from the community will come together to look for that person, and we call that a search party. Here, the party is just a group of people. All right, back to the article. We also asked the police and FBI to help. They immediately started looking for the men and any evidence. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of day one here. A few more words to check on, though. The first word is immediately, which is an adverb, and immediately means right away, instantly, right now, or in a very, very short space of time. If something happens immediately, there's no time to wait before it happens. It happens right away. We often use this word when giving people commands, and we want them to know that we want it to happen right now. An example sentence could be, A fire has been reported in the school kitchen. Please leave the school immediately.
Immediately 是副词，指的就是立刻马上 without any delay or waiting. 那这篇课文的意思呢，就是说他们后来找了警察还有 FBI 来帮忙。FBI 是美国的联邦调查局，然后呢，他们就开始展开搜索，他们要找到这些逃犯啊，还有一些证据。Evidence 是名词，指的就是证据或者是迹象。在这边，警察可能就是要找他们的指纹啊，或者是留下来什么武器，这些都可以说是 evidence 的一种。那另外，如果我们已经找到可以定罪他们的东西的时候，这些东西我们就会说是 proof。Right,
so evidence is something or some information that proves something is true. If you want to make people believe the things that you're saying, you should give them evidence. Evidence can be physical, like a knife at a crime scene, but evidence can also be verbal, like somebody telling you about what they saw happen. We often use the word evidence when we're talking about law and crime. So, for example, if the judge had no evidence, the man would be free to leave the court. Well, that's the end of day one about the Alcatraz prison escape. It's a very famous story. We'll be back tomorrow to find out exactly how they did it
and what they did.
If they survived. But let's go to our For You chat question.
For You chat.
So today's For You chat question is, what stories about famous criminals do you know? Talk about them. Reese, do you know any famous criminals?
Not personally, no. But
Don't tell me this yourself.
I do know some stories. Actually, I'm very interested in true crime. You know, it's kind of a popular thing now to listen to true crime podcasts. Even from a young age, I loved learning about these kind of notorious people. I think one famous example that is super interesting is the story of D.B. Cooper. You can Google this guy. So D.B. Cooper, a while ago in the 20th century, he hijacked a flight. So that means he was on the airplane and he kind of took control of the airplane. And he stole over $200,000, jumped out of the airplane, and then he was never found.
It's like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's a really crazy story. So he had $200,000 with him, and years later, the police found some of that money, but only a tiny percentage. So the rest of that money was never found, and D.B. Cooper was never found. So we're not sure if he died when he jumped out of the plane, or maybe he escaped. Kind of scary, huh?
It's like a movie.
It is like a movie. Actually, I think there are movies about his life.
Oh.
Yeah. There are loads of stories about famous, notorious people. And for me, the ones that are the most interesting are the ones that are unsolved. The ones where we don't really know what happened.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And tomorrow, when we're talking about Alcatraz Day 2, I think we'll be left with some questions. Well, that's all we have for day 1. We'll see you tomorrow for more mystery about the prison island. I'm Reese.
I'm Nikki.
And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Guard. A guard is standing and watching at the prison gates. Especially. Larry is especially happy because his girlfriend is taking him to his favorite restaurant. Fake. Sharon painted a fake door on that wall. You can't open it. Wonder. Susan wondered if her boss would let her take a day off on Friday. Search. The police are searching for the boy who didn't come home last night. He might be lost. Immediately. We need to go to the gate immediately after we check in, or we'll miss our flight.
智慧小补帖
Notorious. Desperate. Colleague. Evidence.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询。网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net